Hello everyone, I'm David Law, Superintendent of Minnetonka Public Schools.
And I'm Mike Remical, Director on the Minnetonka School Board.
We are glad you're able to join us this evening for our School Board Recognitions program. It's important to take the time to acknowledge and celebrate the outstanding accomplishments of our students, staff, and community members.
We begin most of our regular board meetings with recognitions to highlight the positive impact that so many different people make in our district.
Tonight, we are recognizing boys swimming and diving state runners-up, a boys wrestling state qualifier, middle school science bowl state champions and runners-up, science Olympiad state qualifiers, math team state champions, mock trial state qualifiers, and chess state qualifiers.
The Minnetonka boys swim and dive team had an incredible season. In the team's 9th straight state appearance, the skippers earned second place as a team.
Skippers also captured 4 individual state titles. The 50-yard and 100-yard freestyle titles for Evan Whitty, the 200-yard freestyle relay title for Daniel Shelstad, Benjamin Jabs, William Finucane Tuccio, and Isaac Young, and the 400-yard freestyle relay title for Whitty, Benjamin Jabs, Brixton DeWitt, and Reese Carlson.
The team is coached by John Bradley, Anna Gard, Sarah Bielski, Dan Bielski, Sam Fritas.
Let's hear more about the team season.
Hi everyone, my name is John Bradley and I'm the head coach for Minnetonka High School Boys Swim and Dive. We had an amazing season this year. Starting in early January, we won any number of invitationals and dual meets. We won the True Team High School State Meet, and we also finished second at the MSHSL High School State Meet. Through it all, we had amazing coaching and amazing support from our fans, parents, and everybody else who just loves swimming. Many, many thanks to our athletes who made this season one to remember and did an absolutely amazing job in and out of the pool. Thank you.
Congratulations to the following student athletes: Aiden Brandel Larson, Reese Carlson, Sunhong Chua, Brixton DeWitt, William Finucane Tuccio, William Graham, Rowan Irwin, Benjamin Jabs, William Jabs, Parker Lacey,
Max Louie, Caden Nagel, Elias Petrin, Jack Petrin, William Rolfe, Daniel Shelstad, Alexander Sue, Evan Whitty, Isaac Young.
Congratulations again to each of you. We would also like to recognize several honors earned by John Bradley, head coach of the boys and girls swimming and diving team. This year, he was selected as the Section 2AA Coach of the Year. He is a candidate for Minnesota State Coach of the Year for both boys and girls swimming and diving. Congratulations, Coach Bradley. Thank you for the leadership you provide for our varsity programs.
One skipper, senior Dylan Romero, qualified for the state wrestling tournament this year.
Dylan won the Section 6 AAA individual tournament in the 133-pound category. At state, he competed in the first round and the consolation bracket of the tournament.
The wrestling team is coached by Josh Fry and Joel Schrimpf.
Let's hear more about their year.
Hey, Coach Schrimpf here. I want to congratulate Dylan Romero, who won the Section 6 AAA 133-pound bracket this year. He went 3-0 with 3 pins and represented Minnetonka in the state wrestling tournament. He not only did a good job this year in wrestling, but he's also one of our hardest workers, and he's got a bright future ahead of him. Congratulations again, Dylan. Awesome accomplishment.
Congratulations again, Dylan.
The Science Bowl teams from Minnetonka Middle School East and Minnetonka Middle School West excelled at state this year.
The MME team placed first overall and earned a trip to the National Science Bowl competition, which will be taking place in Washington, D.C. later this spring. The team from MMW came in a close second place.
Let's hear more about the team's experiences.
My name is Zachary Larson and I'm an 8th grader. I think that the most impactful part of participating in Science Bowl State was the final round. I'm really proud of both East and West making it to the finals and competing together. I'm proud of my team for our teamwork and our positivity throughout the whole event. Even though my team went on to win, I think that West was very talented and the whole competition came down to the last question. I hope to represent Minnetonka well at Nationals.
My name is Eric and I'm an 8th grader at Minnetonka Middle School East. I am proud to be part of the team that won the state Science Bowl competition. We have had practices every Saturday with the group at my house, and I guess that paid off. In my opinion, the most impactful part of Science Bowl is getting to know other people who like science in other schools and learning new science.
Hi, I'm Aditi and I'm an 8th grader at MMW. Recently, at the National Science Bowl, Minnetonka Middle School West won 2nd place in the middle school competition. Me and my other team members are very happy to have gotten this victory. Thank you so much to MMW for all the support they gave us towards this opportunity and to Mr. Elbach for coaching us through. My team members include Zachary, Kai, and Emma. We are all very grateful for this opportunity and we thank the National Science Bowl for ever occurring. The Science Bowl is a really great way for students with an interest in science to enrich their skills. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Krithi Morthy and I'm an 8th grader at Minnetonka Middle School East. One of the things that I thought I loved about Science Bowl is how it brings teams together. I was really proud of how we were able to stay calm under pressure and come together as a team, which came from us not only spending time together during practice, but also on our own time. Science Bowl has built meaningful connections and relationships for me, but it's also deepened my love for science and expanded my knowledge on topics like genetics all the way to circuits. All in all, Science Bowl these past 3 years has been a really fun and fulfilling experience. Thank you.
Congratulations to the following student competitors. From MME, we recognize Hu Hong, Zachary Larson, Eric Luo, Krithik Murthy, and Nicholas Trujillo.
The MME team is coached by Gia Luo and Alberta Anderson. We wish you luck as you look forward to the national competition.
From MMW, we recognize Aditi Cannon, Emma Liu, Kai Riedner, and Zachary Wang.
The MMW team is coached by Mitchell Elvebach. Science Olympiad is one of the premier science competitions in the nation. Competitions run like a track and field meet, featuring many events focused on different scientific principles.
This year's team placed 6th overall, and the team's advisors are teachers Joe Cassette and Allison Peterson.
Let's hear more about the season.
Hi, my name is Joe Cassette.
I'm Allison Peterson.
And we're the coaches for the Minnetonka High School Science Olympiad team. This year, the team competed in the state tournament and got 6th place overall out of 34 teams in the state.
There was a bunch of individual medals in the following events, and we want to share those with you today.
First place in experimental design goes to Maya Sandy, Savannah Larson, and Ellie Stroh.
Micromission also got first place, and that's Grayson Lee and Audrey Gett.
We also had some teams get 3rd place in state. 3rd place in Dynamic Planet went to Joe Buffington and Michael Luo.
Fossils also went to Joe Buffington and Isabella Toten.
And Geologic Mapping to Joe Buffington and Michael Luo.
Congratulations on a fantastic year, Science Olympiad. We truly appreciate your hard work, your dedication, and the incredible accomplishments you've achieved.
Great work, Tonka. We're looking forward to next year.
My name is Evan Trung, and I'm a freshman at Minnetonka High School. This year, I had the unique opportunity of being able to compete at the Science Olympiad State Tournament on the Science Olympiad Minnetonka varsity team. Science Olympiad really allows me to fuel my passion for science in a way that can't really be done in a classroom and in a more individualized and fun manner. It was an amazing experience, and I learned a lot that I wouldn't have been able to without Science Olympiad. I want to say thank you to the district for continuing to fund important STEM clubs like Science Olympiad. I also want to give a shout out to our coaches Miss Peterson and Mr. Cassette for coaching and spending their time helping us become the great team we are.
Congratulations to the following Science Olympiad team members: Laura Oxon, Joe Buffington, Audrey Gett, Lucy Gill, Stella Kelleher, Savannah Larson, Grayson Lee,
Michael Luo, Kristenza Nielsen, Carmen Papp, Maya Sandy, Ellison Stroh, Sawyer Taddy, Isabella Toten, and Evan Trong. The MHS math team had an incredible season this year. Students qualified for the state tournament where they beat VIII by 3 points to earn the state championship title.
3 Minnetonka students made it all the way to the Math Bowl finals: Andreas Wallickson, Michael Luo, and Evan Trong. This competition represents the top 10 individuals at state.
Andreas placed first overall and won the individual Math Bowl title.
The math team is coached by teacher Connor Gomer. Let's learn more about the season from the team.
Hello, my name is Andreas Wellington and I'm a freshman at MHS. I feel very privileged to be able to work together with other high school students at Minnetonka with similar interests and passions as me to collaborate on competition math problems and ultimately achieve first place at the state competition. I also feel very honored to be the 2025 Minnesota State Math Bowl champion. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Michael. I'm a sophomore and I'm the captain of the math team. First, I'd like to thank Mr. Gomer and Mr. Holte for all the support that they had throughout the season. In particular, thank you for proctoring meets 1 through 5, and then also being there at practices and proctoring some additional tests that we had throughout the year, like from the MMA series. I'm really proud of our team for what we did. I really enjoyed working with all the students, like the newcomers and also the more experienced students. It was great to work with them and watch them realize something really cool for the first time. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Evan Trong, and I'm a freshman at Minnetonka High School. This year, the Minnetonka math team won the state tournament for math for the first time in many years. I'm very proud of our club for how far it has grown and the pride our win brings to the school, finally defeating Wayzata. It was an amazing experience being a part of the math team all year, and it was both extremely fun and extremely educational. The math team really allowed my love for maths to flourish. Thank you to the district for continuing to fund important math and science related clubs like Math Team. Shout out to our captain, Michael Luo, and our coaches, Mr. Gomer and Mr. Holte, for helping lead the math team to first place and spending their time helping us become so great.
Congratulations to the following math team state champions: Maximilian Kenny, Mihir Kurana, Michael Luo, Alex Wren, Addison Shee,
Evan Trong, Andreas Wallickson, Izada Urinar, and Siwen Wu.
The Minnetonka High School mock trial team qualified for state this year for the first time in school history.
At state, the team earned 14th place overall. 2 Minnetonka students were recognized with all-state awards. Haley Holm, all-state witness, Juliana Lewandowski, all-state attorney.
The mock trial team is coached by Kim Meehan and Lisa Lilly.
Let's learn more about the program.
Hey Tonka Trial, I just wanted to share how proud I am and to celebrate all of the amazing achievements of the season. We had a lot of new members join with brand new perspectives and personalities to the mix. The teamwork and dedication and time commitment really did pay off and got us to a place that we could only dream of. For the first time in our history, we qualified for the championship round at regionals. And we also competed in St. Paul at the Federal District Court in the state championship for the first time, where students handled it with professionalism and remarkable poise of seasoned veterans. Each of you contributed to making this season unforgettable. Your passion to mock trial, your support for each other, and your relentless pursuit of justice set a new standard for the team. Congratulations on all these incredible accomplishments. Let's continue to build on the success and aim even higher for the future. Thank you for making this season one for the history books.
Congratulations to the following mock trial competitors: Lily Cantwell, Sasha Colville, Haley Holm, Juliana Lewandowski, Emerson Morgan, Sean Rook,
Cole Rowan, Audrey Sedura, Silas Cernek, Evangeline Wyant, and Felix Wyant.
Last month, Minnetonka students competed and excelled at the state-level chess tournament.
At the high school level, the team from MHS placed 4th.
At the middle school level, the team from MMW placed 1st.
At the elementary level, the K-5 team from Scenic Heights Elementary placed 1st in their division, and the K-3 team from Scenic Heights placed 2nd in theirs.
Let's hear more from our chess state qualifiers.
Hi, I'm Aditi and I'm an 8th grader at MMW.
I'm Arti and I'm also in 8th grade.
Recently, at the State Scholastic Chess Tournament, us and our fellow team members from the School of Minnetonka Middle School West won the first place team award in the K-8 section with almost 94 participants. Me and my sister have been participating under the guidance of a private coach in many chess tournaments for many years.
Our team beat Nicollet, which had way more people than we had, for the 2nd year in a row. Our team includes Ilya, Michael, Audley, Rishit Sai, Aditi, and myself. Together, we scored a major win.
Thank you to MMW for all the support that they have given us. We were extremely happy to have won this award with all of our team's dedication, teamwork, and skill.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is George Clark. I'm a 5th grade navigator in Scenic Heights. One of my favorite things about the tournament is I got to play with other Scenic Heights kids that I knew well, and then I got to build new connections with them. In the tournament, I am very proud that I got to share the experience of winning the trophy with many other kids in the Scenic Heights Schools District.
My name is Ilya Chukuno, and I'm a 6th grade student at MMW. The most impactful part of my activity was learning from my mistakes and becoming better from each game I play. I'm most proud of being able to play at the same level as all of the higher-rated players in the event. As a team, I am most proud of keeping up with the team of 25 players and being able to get ahead of them in the end.
Hi, my name is Rashid Bamareddy. I'm 7th grade from Minnetonka Middle School West. Our chess team won first place in the Minnesota Scholastic event for middle school category. Something that affected our team after the chess tournament was our confidence. After the chess tournament, all of our chess team members thought we were going to win the next chess team tournaments. Thank you, Minnetonka.
Hi, I'm Albert, a 10-year-old 4th grader at Scenic Heights Elementary School. I started playing chess at the age of 6 and I love the game. What I love about the tournament is that we were courageous, optimistic, and supportive whether we win or lose. Next time, I want to attack more and get a perfect score.
My name is Alfred. I'm in 2nd grade. This is my first time in a chess tournament with my Scenic Heights friends. I feel excited about my tournament. My favorite chess piece is the queen because the queen can move really far and the queen is the best chess piece. My favorite chess player is Ding Liren because Ding Liren can beat Magnus Carlsen. Next time at the tournament, I can attack better than usual.
My name is Warren Harrods, and I am a 3rd grade navigator at Scenic Heights Elementary. Individually, I placed 7th at the State Scholastic Chess Tournament for K through 3rd grade. The Scenic Heights team placed 2nd. This was my first nationally rated chess tournament. The best part of the tournament was getting to keep the 2nd place trophy. I was really proud of my performance that day.
Congratulations to the following chess state participants.
From MHS, Demir Augustine, Lucas Granucci, Asher Javanathan, Wyatt Marcus, Mingchi Mathur, Origal Renchin, and Michael Sander.
From MMW, Rishi Bamareddy, Ilya Chuhuno, Michael Gomelski, Adlai Jivanathan, Artie Cannon, and Aditi Cannon.
From the Scenic Heights K-5 team, George Clark, Louis Collier, Nandith Natraj, Harrison Tan, and Albert Yang.
And from the Scenic Heights K3 team, Warren Hurwitz, Don Seka Sasakumar, and Alfred Yang. That concludes our recognition program for this evening. Thank you again for celebrating with us.
The school board meeting will begin shortly.
I'll call this meeting of the Minnetonka School Board to order. Let us stand and say the pledge to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Dan, may I have a second?
Second.
Mike. Any discussion, changes, additions? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have an agenda. Next up is our school report, Superintendent Law.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, as you're aware, we start every school board meeting celebrating our purpose, our school reports. Tonight, we have 2 schools presenting in front of us. We'll start with Minnetonka Community Education, Executive Director Kim Carlson.
Mr. Chair, board members, Lieutenant. Superintendent Law.
So close.
As you can tell, I'm excited, also a little nervous. This is my first presentation with you as the director with speaking in regards to our community education program, and very proud. We have so many achievements and so much growth, and we have financial stability, and of course the numbers of our participation numbers are so impressive. And I was just in a meeting today, we talked about our ski club. We have 1,300 students participating in our ski club group. We have 2,000 participants in our basketball program, so just amazing numbers. And then of course we have programs that have 5 or 10 students that attend that are equally as impactful and interesting and important. And so, and I think those numbers really reflect the dedication and hard work of our leadership and our staff, our program managers, our teachers, and of course our enthusiastic community too. They show up, they participate, they volunteer, and they keep coming back. And of course, I again contributed to our staff for creating just a top-notch program and just a really high-level experience for our community, and really engaging people, students, families, and creating a place where people feel welcome and belonging. And so beyond those numbers, though, are those people, those extraordinary people that come in our stories, which I'm excited to have some people here tonight to share those stories, and how they've created this connection and belonging and engaging our community and our students in our community as well. So Anna, can you come on up? Anna Asheim is one of our program managers, and she's here tonight to talk about our youth programs, Youth Development Council. Anna?
Hi, so my name is Anna Ostheim. I am the Youth Enrichment Program Manager and one of the advisors for Youth Development Council. I have the privilege to work with and help guide our amazing group of students in YDC. 3 of them, well, 2 right now, 3 is on the way, are here with us today. Chandler Olson, Nick Volkov, and Xander Grant is on his way. They are the co-chairs of our group and help us facilitate our events throughout the year. In preparing for this presentation, I asked them 3 questions. What has it meant to you to be a part of this group? Why did you join? And what is your favorite event / most impactful moment in your time in YDC? I will let them take it from here.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for letting me come out here to this meeting tonight. I'm honored to be able to talk about Youth Development Council. My name is Chandler Olson. I'm a senior at Minnetonka High School. I've been part of YDC for 4 years now. And for me, it's meant a lot. I found a sense of belonging within the community. We've got to work with people both young at the 5th grade finale and the East Meets West events, as well as the more elderly people in our community through the Rake-a-thon, and we have worked with XVIII Nursing Home. I joined because initially a friend had told me to come to one of the events my freshman year. Just, it's fun to volunteer together, and since then it's grown to be a lot more for me. Once again, like I said, I found a sense of belonging, and I've really seen myself as a part of the group. And the most impactful event for me, I would say, is holiday family giving. It feels really nice to be able to give back to the community. And the underprivileged that might not have the opportunities to get Christmas gifts and things like that. It feels really great to give back to the community in that way. Thank you.
I'm Nick. I'm one of the co-chairs, and I've been at YDC for 3 to 4 years now. And for me, being a part of YDC has been a very fulfilling experience. Just volunteering and organizing these events, it's shown me the impact that our work has on students at the school and just everyone else around the community. I used to participate in some of these school events as like a 5th grader, middle schooler, and now being on the other end of this, setting up these events for other students, it's been really meaningful for me. I joined YDC initially because of friends as well. They asked me to help volunteer at one of the events, and from there I really liked it, and I also really wanted to build my teamworking skills, and working with many others at YDC, it's a very good motivation for me, and others just uplifting each other, motivating each other to keep helping the community. And for my favorite event, that would probably be the Rake-a-thon. It feels really good seeing the before and after, and seeing that we really helped someone in need with cleaning something like their yard, and it's also a very great way to spend some time outside with friends. So yeah.
Mr. Chair, Superintendent or Lieutenant Law, and members of the board, it's nice to see all of you. I'm going to talk a little bit about what's been happening at the younger ages and the families through community ed. So for the district literacy initiatives, what that looks like in preschool is not only preparing the kids for those pre-literacy skills, but really getting parents involved and understanding how their everyday interactions are what build those foundations for the kids to be ready as they move into school. And so one of our initiatives that has taken just all sorts of different shapes over the years, kind of went gangbusters this year. It was a 6-week initiative called Read the Rainbow. And we went a little crazy. Our PTO went a little crazy. We had an author who come in and an illustrator. And so she read two of her books to the students and then asked them an animal, what that animal's emotion was and what they might be doing, and then drew it for them and kind of created a story as she showed them that their ideas can come to life on paper. And it was just so cool. She read her new book, which is called Nellie's Big Adventure, or Nellie's Big Splash, and then she read The Rabbit Listens. And both of those books are books we use in our Tier 2 MTSS for social and emotional learning. And so it was just a really cool connection for the kids. And then the parents can use those tools at home. We purchased 2 books for every family this year. So the teachers select a book that resonates for their classroom or something that they're learning. They read it in class, they send it home with their kiddos, and then they help to refresh the libraries. We all remember what it was like to read the same book over and over and over again. And then we did Nellie's Big Splash. So it's been super fun. We had our book fair this year for the first time. Our PTO put it on. I was walking down the hall and this little girl was talking to her mom and she says, next year we're gonna have a book fair. And I was like, guess what? It's tomorrow. And she about lost it. So it's just such a cool, we put a rainbow in our lobby and we just spend a lot of time educating families and kids about just the fun and joy of reading and language. I've really taken a new initiative this year. So early childhood and family education often leans hard on the early childhood part, but there is so much for the family education part that's missing, and people don't always know where they can find good, reputable, research-based information. So we all know our smartphones build an algorithm for us, and it can be really overwhelming because it can give us information that is good, but also maybe not so good. So we've been working really hard as a team with my parent educators to think about what are the things families are looking for. We've had parents who, some of them have been on our board before, to say, well, I don't not need help now that I'm not in early childhood. Like, I've never had a kindergarten before. I don't know what to do with a middle schooler. What is puberty? They kind of freak out. So how do we lean into that? We have started a speaker series where we're bringing in people who we know provide research-based information to give parents just good resources to continue to research how they want to be as parents. So we have 1,000 Hours Outside is Jenny Urich. She has this whole movement where right after COVID, as people were coming out and they could be outside but maybe not close together, she did 1,000 hours. It's a picture, and every hour you're outside, you color it in. And so we have a lot of families who like her work. She has a new book called Until the Streetlights Come On, and just the power of boredom, just being outside and being bored. And that's on May 6th at Excelsior Elementary in the auditorium. It's free. We have space for 350 people. We're at 110 as of right now, so that's awesome. May 20th, we have someone named Erin Walsh. She is the founder of Spark and Stitch, and she's going to come in to MME and do a program on, it's called It's Complicated, Teen Screens and Mental Health. She also has a new book out, and she is phenomenal. We had her come in to talk about little kids from apps to laps, and that was really fun, and people really enjoyed it. And then we've launched a parent coaching and family support initiative. All of the principals from elementary through high school sent out a newsletter, in their newsletter to families, that we offer free parent coaching and support. So parents can put in, there's topic-based that helps them decide, like, okay, I have a middle schooler, here are some things I want, and then there's place for other, and a parent educator reaches out to them to connect and figure out how we can support them. And sometimes we're not the right place, and that is totally okay. We just make a referral and move them to where they need to go. We have another initiative this year. We have something called School Readiness. Being a multilingual learner qualifies families to be in school readiness. And we last year had a few families whose parents were brand new to the country, but in Minnetonka, we didn't have a level 1 English class. They had to go to Hopkins, but there was transportation issues. And so we worked together with our adult options to bring a level 1 class to our community center. And then we put the schedules together so that the parents can be in school while their child is in preschool, and then their child goes to lunch bunch, where we just practice like small talk English skills, talking about what we're having for lunch and emotions and feelings and friendship. And so we had 6 families and 7 adults participate in that program this year. And so it's my privilege to introduce Kirsten Firehammer, who is one of our lead teachers, and she's going to talk a little bit more about our adult options program at Community Ed.
Thank you for letting me be here. I am really excited. As Molly said, my name is Kirsten Firehammer, and I am the lead teacher for the Adult Basic Education Program in Minnetonka. We are part of a consortium with the districts of St. Louis Park, Hopkins, Minnetonka, and Wayzata. Of course, hold a soft spot for Minnetonka, and I've been in this program for over 20 years. And I am so happy to be able to say that I have the best job ever. And I think, Superintendent Law, you have heard me say that more than once when you visited us. Why is that? Let me tell you a little bit about what we do. At our Minnetonka site, we work specifically with refugees and immigrants. Is there a oh, I'm sorry, I'm not used to doing this. I'm used to, excuse me, thank you. Thank you. We have students from all over the world and speaking 17, 18, 19 different languages. Now, our Minnetonka site does not have the largest population. We are growing, and it's very exciting, but what I am most proud about is the fact that we have the greatest level of retention. Why is that? That's because our students really feel this sense of belonging and community at MCEC. Now, the other great part of my job, and as Molly just said, part of my job is helping our students to make connections. We help them make connections with those early childhood programs. Okay. We also help them to make connections.
Hello, my name is.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know it start right away. I was just going to be a person.
Okay, thank you. We help them, I'll just continue on. Help them make connections. Everything from early childhood right up through K-12. And I'm also proud to say that at this time, we have 15 of our current students who are employed in the building, or in the district, excuse me. I would like you to hear a story of one of those students.
Hello, my name is Victoria Shevchenko. I'm from Ukraine, and I have lived in the United States since July 2022. When I arrived, everything was new. The language, the people, the system. I felt lost. But then I found the Adult Options program right in my school district, and that changed everything. My teacher created a warm, welcoming space. We became a team, united, supportive, and full of laughter. The volunteers, too, were amazing. Not just helpers, but people who helped me fall in love with this country. The school helped me find myself. I learned English, made real friends, and even got into college, something I never thought possible. My daughter is a student in the Minnetonka school district, and she's happy. We've meant the world to me. Today, I work in one of the schools here. Thank you to everyone in the Adult Options program. You are not just teaching English, you are helping us build new lives and hope again.
Yes, so I just wanted to add that Victoria is one of my students, and when she arrived in 2022, she didn't want to be here. She didn't want to speak English. She just wanted to go home. And she has said to me many times that she is so grateful because of our program. She has really learned to love this country, and this is now her home. We have one more. If you take a look at the picture here, this is a picture of Dmitry and Svetlana. They arrived in the United States and came to our program in 2020. Just this year, they received their U.S. citizenship, and I was very honored to be part of that naturalization ceremony. If you ever have the opportunity to do that and go, I highly recommend it. Just another reason why my job is pretty amazing. So, thank you for letting me share, and I will turn it over to Jen.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Superintendent Law, members of the board. Jenny Bedurka, thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. I'm going to share a little bit about some of our other youth and adult programs in community ed. And first, I'm going to share about Project Friendship. Many of you may be familiar with our very popular Adults with Disabilities program, which is called Project SOAR. Lindsay, who runs that program, does an amazing job, and she and Kirsten always fight over who has the best job. But as Project SOAR has continued to grow, we've heard from our families of elementary to high school students that they would really love a program similar to Project SOAR for their students. And so based on that feedback, we've been working to develop this new offering. And so certainly all students are welcome to attend all of our classes, and we do provide support to students, but this is a little bit of an additional program where they can have community with others with similar needs. So we've hosted an adapted family night in the fall. Special thanks to board member Sally Brown for coming out to that event that night. And it was just great to see families connecting, sharing with us what they're interested in. And really, we're hoping to model a lot of what we do in Project SOAR for that younger age. We do have another adapted family night tomorrow night at MCEC. So if anyone is interested, all are welcome, and we hope that you'll join us there. Some of the many things we do in the spring and summer have a lot of events. You heard from our YDC crew about our 5th grade finales, our East Meets West, kind of the celebration transition events for our students as they go to a new school. We also have a 1-mile trail run, our youth triathlon, and then in the summer we have 2 big events, our Minnetonka Mud Run and Tour de Tonka. So just some events to put on your calendar, things coming up. And last, I just wanted to share some highlights of summer. So Summer is a very busy time for us in community ed, lots of classes and activities happening. The photo on the right is our summer planning guide, and that will be arriving in homes anytime. It's a week-by-week guide, so if you're looking for something the week of June 15th, for example, you can see what the different camps and class options by week. So we hope that's a great resource for the community. We've got great numbers in Explorers and Quest, which Quest is for our middle schoolers, but kind of a more consistent attendance throughout the summer, go on field trips every day. And we're starting a new opportunity at Scenic Heights and Groveland called Lunch Bunch. So families can choose to sign up for a morning camp and an afternoon camp. They can also sign up for Lunch Bunch, where we'll have activities and a chance for them to eat lunch so they can make a whole day of their week-long camp at that particular school. So hoping to provide a little bit of that care, time, and flexibility for families as they need it. But we're really excited about a great summer coming up. And those are all of the updates we want to share right now. I also want to acknowledge Alyssa Peak, who's here with us tonight. She is one of our program managers for adult programs, but she is currently working to get her community ed director's license. So she's going to be coming and working with all of you to see what's happening at the meetings, but we're appreciative of all her great work that she's doing as well. But thank you so much for your time, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you for that report. Board members, any questions for our presenters? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Superintendent Law.
Our next school that we'll be presenting tonight is Minnetonka Middle School East. With us tonight is Principal Pete Dimmitt. Mr. Dimmitt.
Good evening, Chairman, Superintendent Law, members of the board. What I'd like to do tonight is highlight a little bit of the work that MME has been doing with Tonka Cares, specific to drug education and awareness outreach. And a couple things in particular I want to highlight. But before that, I want to rewind to a few years ago when I was talking with some high school students. And we frequently try and reach out to high school students and do exit interviews with them and kind of ask them about their middle school experience and what worked for them and what we could improve on. And we also ask them in terms of how we support parents and how we provide education for parents. You know, what are the topics we should be talking to parents about? And so one of the questions we ask the high school students is if you could give middle school parents one piece of advice, what advice would you give middle school parents? And repeatedly, high school students told us, you need to tell them that they need to talk to their kids about drugs and alcohol when they're in middle school, because if they wait till high school to talk to them, they're too late. And that's really stuck with me over the years. And one of the challenges that we've had with our current schedule, one of the things I'm really looking forward to with our schedule next year, is it's going to give us venues to have more of these conversations, particularly with our 8th graders, because there are a lot of really important conversations for us to have with our 8th graders that aren't 6th grade appropriate conversations. And, you know, with us moving our health course to 8th grade for next year, and with us having a 8th grade seminar course next year, it's going to give us the venues to have more of these conversations that are needed more and more each year, with just the number of really heavy-duty, life-changing issues that these kids are facing. And so the question is, if parents should be talking to their kids, what should they be talking to them about? And I think right now, with the kids that are in middle school right now that are growing up and getting ready to go into high school, I see the big issues that we need to be talking to them about is vaping, the growth of Zyn packs, the nicotine patches, and the caffeine patches, the growing access to Delta 9 and Delta 8 products that are becoming ubiquitous, and then opioids, and specifically fentanyl and press pills. And so we were lucky enough to partner with Tonka Cares, and specifically I want to give a shout out to Christine Arula-Nantham, and she's just been a great person to partner with. And she got us connected recently with a nonprofit organization called Change the Outcome that I'm going to talk a little bit more about. But prior to that, we've worked with Tonka Cares on putting together parent education around vaping and what are the things parents need to know and be on the lookout for specific to vaping. We work with them to have a screening of the documentary Screenagers with all of our middle school students that just increases their awareness of digital media and their susceptibility and their digital footprint. Educating parents about cybersecurity issues, and then just recently last month we brought in the organization Change the Outcome. Change the Outcome is a nonprofit organization that is exclusively focused on opioid education and awareness. And their organization is, this is a picture of the group that presented with us last year. And these presenters are either parents who have lost a child to an opioid overdose, or they are young adults that have struggled with opioid addiction. And so these are people that have really compelling stories to tell and have a passion for making a difference for this generation of students. So the focus of their presentation with our kids were basically 5 bullet points. One was understanding some of the common pathways that a teen takes towards opioid addiction. And the thing that I thought was so important for our kids to hear on that is several of the presenters talked about their road, their pathway started with their own issues around anxiety and depression, and how their experimentation with drugs was originally a therapy to try and soothe their anxiety and their depression. And they talked about how that was the road it started out and how it got away from them. I thought it was so important for our kids to hear that, and the presenters over and over talked about how they were embarrassed to ask for help, and they were embarrassed to talk to anybody about it. And they just reiterated to our kids that, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling depressed, you need to talk to your friends, you need to talk to an adult about it, and you need to not feel that it's a sign of weakness or that you did something wrong. They also focused on helping the kids to understand personal risk factors that make somebody more susceptible to opioids. They educated the kids about the different types of opioids. And then specifically, they talked about the growth, the explosion of the issues with fentanyl and press pills. And I, had heard a lot about fentanyl, mostly just from news articles and news reports, but really didn't understand, how these overdoses were actually working with young adults. And they did just such a wonderful job of talking about explaining to them that fentanyl is this opioid synthetic derivative that is very cheaply made, and then it's mixed basically into baby formula powder, and then it's stamped into pills. And they showed the kids side-by-side pictures of legitimate pharmaceutical grade Xanax, hydrocodone, OxyContin, side by side with these counterfeit pressed pills, and explain to the kids that there's absolutely no way that you could tell the difference between the two, and that they use the analogy of the people that are making these counterfeit pills they're not going through any standards of measurement to guarantee how much fentanyl is going into each pill. And they use the analogy of how, when you're making chocolate chip cookies, you can take a scoop and put it on the cookie tray, and you get one chocolate chip cookie that might have 20 chocolate chips in it, and the one next to it might only have 5 chocolate chips. And they said it's the same thing with these press pills. You could get one press pill which would have just a small amount of fentanyl in it, or you could get a press pill that has 50 times the lethal dosage of fentanyl in it, and there's no way that you would be able to tell. And they talked to the kids about last year, the government, of all the counterfeit pills the government seized on the streets, 7 out of every 10 seized pills had lethal doses of fentanyl in them. And so it was, like I said, it was just a really powerful presentation to our kids to help them to kind of understand all these dangers that they face as they become young adults. One of the things that was most encouraging was the post-survey results. So this presentation, or this education took place over a 2-day period. Day before they came in, our kids watched a documentary during advisory that kind of gave them back information on the issues. And then they had about an hour-and-a-half presentation. And then afterwards, we did a survey with them to kind of measure the effectiveness. And you can see some of these results, asking the kids if they know the factors that increase their personal risk at developing a substance use disorder. Really encouraging results on that. A kid's understanding of the different types of opioids. Again, really encouraging pre-post data. Students' understanding about what press pills and counterfeit pills are. And I thought these last two slides were really interesting. Ask the students, I personally know somebody who has struggled with substance addiction. I was surprised how high that number was amongst our students. And then lastly, students who answered true to actually knowing somebody who's experienced an overdose. On a scale of 1 to 10, you can see our students felt like the presentation was very effective. And then lastly, some of the comments that they shared. And I'll give you a second to just read through those comments. So again, really proud of the work that we've done partnering with Tonka Cares. I'm excited that this is the second year we've done this program. MMW is also doing this program. I believe we did ours right before spring break. I think they have theirs coming up actually next week. And also excited for the future with our new schedule next year. You know, the opportunities for us to continue to partner with Tonka Cares and other organizations to provide this critical information to our kids before they leave and go over to the high school, I think is just really important. So, and with that, I'll answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Principal Dement. Any questions or comments? Marie.
This is wonderful information. Thank you for, I'm glad that the block schedule is going to be helpful related to conveying this information. Can you remind me what grade the survey was?
With our 8th graders.
It's just 8th grade?
Just all of our 8th graders.
Okay, thank you.
I would echo thanks for delivering this information. It's good for us to hear on the board that those conversations are happening. I think it's critical, as you've shown, that all of the parents of middle schoolers know that. I think that message from the high schoolers was very critical, that if you wait until they're in high school to talk to them about drugs and alcohol, you've waited too long. So
exactly.
Encourage any parent who hasn't gotten that message to reach out to their principals. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. I believe we have reached the time for community comments. Did we have anyone who had submitted a card for community comments? Okay. Community comments is an opportunity for the public to address the school board on an item included in this agenda in accordance with the guidelines printed on the reverse. We do not have anyone apparently interested tonight, so we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is approval of Minnetonka Foundation teacher grants. Superintendent Law.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, as you're all aware, we have an incredible partner in the Minnetonka Public Schools Foundation. They fundraise throughout the year for the sole purpose of supporting our school district. And in one area they support our district, tonight's topic is allowing our teachers to dream, ask for a funding support, and then they approve those to enhance student opportunities and learning. Tonight we have Heather Marquardt and Jamie Hansen to give a summary of Foundation teacher grants have been approved for your approval.
Perfect. Thank you, board members, chair, Dr. Law, guests. It's great to be here. I'm Heather Markert. This is Jamie Hansen. We are the co-chairs for the Teacher Grant Committee with Minnetonka Public Schools Foundation. We're honored to present for your approval our recommendation, and I have to get the number right, to award $122,767 in grants to 60 different grant applications across the Minnetonka district. We consider ourselves to be very fortunate to work as a partner with such an amazing school district and help these outstanding teachers provide additional educational opportunities to our students through these grants. The foundation has been around for 35 years, and in that 35 years, we have funded over 1,020 grants, totaling over $1.5 million, which is very exciting to see that number. This year, we received 94 requests seeking over $390,000 for the 25-26 school year. After careful consideration and discussion, the foundation board voted to approve 60 requests that you have been provided detail on. In addition, there were another 4 grants that were able to be funded through existing district resources that we uncovered when we met with district leadership, so that was wonderful. Special note tonight that the Minnetonka Alumni Association has fundraised and contributed to funding 6 grants totaling $4,335. So we really appreciate their support and their partnership. So tonight we are asking for the school board's approval of these grants. We will notify all of the grant applicants of the final decisions in the coming days, and then there will be another recognition event in May. Monday, May 12th. You're all invited if you would like to come. It's kind of a fun event to celebrate these teachers and what they're about to do next year. So this concludes our presentation on the grants, and we're happy to answer any questions or listen to comments.
Thank you. Let's see, board members, any questions? Should we start with a motion? I'll take a motion to accept the Minnetonka Foundation's teacher grants as presented.
So moved.
Camry, second?
Second.
Chris? All right, any comments or discussion? Chris?
Just want to say thank you to the foundation, and I know how much work goes into raising all of the funds as well as the process that you guys go through, and really to provide over $120,000 back to the district, and seeing but not publicly seeing some of the things that we're funding is really encouraging, and it's great that we can provide that back into the classroom. So thank you.
I think one of the reasons you see we don't have a lot of questions is we're just very, very grateful for the generosity of the time and the efforts and the money that went into raising this and putting it all together. And so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Great. I'd just like to say we consider it a great privilege to partner with the district and the school board in our efforts to maintain the high level of excellency in the classrooms of the Minnetonka Public Schools. Thank you for your support of the foundation. I know many of you, if not all of you, were at our Dreammakers event, and it really means a lot in terms of our effort to increase visibility across the district, and we look forward to continuing to work together to support the needs of our teachers and students. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next item on our agenda is the legislative update. Superintendent Law.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, we have had an unprecedented year of advocacy in Minnetonka. 100 parents almost are getting weekly updates, frequently communicating with our elected officials. We have held a town hall. We've gone to the Capitol. We have almost daily, it seems like, connections with our elected officials. Mr. Bourgeois is a frequent testifier and a guide on the side for writing legislation. And as we are over halfway through the session, we're taking a chance to update our board and the community on where we are with the legislation, where funding streams may or may not be and what it looks like for us. So Executive Director of Finance and Operations, Mr. Paul Bourgeois, is here to provide an update. Mr. Bourgeois.
Thank you, Superintendent Law, Mr. Chair, members of the board. One of the things that we've been obviously advocating for actually the last dozen years is more ability to raise some local dollars. And our Our prior presentation on community education is actually an example of what we can do with local dollars, because about 90% of their budget is local dollars, and they do all those incredible things. And we've done some incredible things with local dollars with our operating referendum in particular, and we've been at a cap, but we've been lobbying and lobbying and lobbying to get some more local dollars, because the state has not been able to keep us up with funding in terms of state aid. And this year, the legislative situation is actually somewhat dire from a budget standpoint. So I'm going to go through some of those items. Again, local dollars, local ability to do some things would really help us greatly. But a lot of the numbers that are in this presentation are pulled from the state of Minnesota Management and Budget Office. So anybody can go out there and look at the numbers and find the same numbers that I was able to find out of their budget and economic forecast and their historical data. So the state is grappling with a very serious long-term budget outlook. Basically, I'm not going to run through each number on there, but the numbers that are circled in red show for the next two biennium, fiscal 26-27 and then 28-29, they have a structural imbalance of about $3.3 million for fiscal year 26-27, and then a fiscal year 28-29 structural imbalance of over $6 billion, about $6.5 billion. So they also at the bottom of the slide say structural imbalance without discretionary inflation. It's of 2.1 million and 3.9 million, so about 6 billion instead of 10. So, the state can do that because they're saying, hey, we're just going to legislate away inflation, fund at a lower level. Of course, we have to deal with inflation in everything we do, in employee salaries and benefits, in utilities, and just everything we do, supplies for the custodial people and all that kind of stuff. So we always have to balance with inflation, as every school district does. So while they're talking about funding to a $6 billion gap, school districts around the state will be having to deal with operating at the $10 billion gap. So it's kind of a somber situation. So one of the things is, where did this deficit come from? Because it wasn't that long ago that we were looking at a significant surplus. And I look back into it, it's like, how did that happen? But the 23 legislature increased the current biennium budget of expenditures by 36% in one jump. The FY 22-23 biennium was funded at approximately $52 billion. FY 24-25 expenditures were budgeted at approximately $71 billion. So the reality is now going forward, they're projecting the ongoing revenues for FY 26-27 and FY 28-29 are not sufficient to maintain that $71 billion in expenditures for those biennium. So I just showed you, this is actually where I pulled the numbers from. And I highlighted the number where it shows the difference in the biennium and the increase of 36%. A lot of numbers, but that's right off of their webpage. Again, and they've been actually the other important thing about that one is they were projecting this major shortfall in November 23, right after the 23 legislature, 6 months after the legislature finished up, setting 24-25. At the end of the legislative session in 24, it hadn't changed, and so that's where we are today. The November forecast, again, very consistent all the way through. So the thing is I was going, well, that's a pretty big deficit in terms of the structural balance. How do these forecast differences match up compared to the biennium of the Great Recession? They always project two out, right? FY 26-27, FY 28-29. And how does this compare to right after the Great Recession, FY 10-11 and FY 12-13, which are the two biennium that followed right after that big meltdown in the mortgage-backed security market? And so there's a lot of numbers on here. Right off a report from the state, I highlight some, and you can't read them, but there's some numbers at the bottom. But the structural imbalance for the first biennium in FY 2009, after is part of the Great Recession, was about a minus 4.8 million, and so that compares to the February 25 forecast for 26-27 of about 3.3 billion. The structural imbalance for February 2009, again, to project out that second biennium back then, was about 5.134 billion. and that compares to the FY25 forecast for 28-29 of $6.5 billion. And so if you take that total 2-year or 4 years of biennial increases projected in 2009, the Great Recession deficit at that time was projected at $9.94 billion over 4 years. The one that we're currently in is actually at $9.736 billion over the 4 years. So it's 98% of the Great Recession. So, and some people will go, well, fiscal year 10 or 13, the deficit was a higher percentage of the budget, which is true. But at the same time, $1 billion is still $1 billion. So they're dealing with the second biggest shortfall in this era, in this century, actually. So there's the numbers that are kind of just highlighted in a little bit easier to read. So $1 billion is still, at least it's still a lot of money to me. Again, the state can legislate away inflation, so they'll address the $6 billion shortfall. 88% of our general operating fund is employee salaries and benefits. We can't legislate away inflation. 67% of our operating budget is teacher salaries and benefits. Utilities, electricity in the state is up 40%, over 40% in 10 years, actually close to 46%. As we switch over to more expensive generation methods, water, sewer, wastewater has been going up at above the rate of inflation every year. Transportation, we had our low contract the past couple of years was 19% increase, followed by an 8, followed by a 5, by a 5. That was the low bid of the bids that we went out for. Maintenance and classroom supplies, all those type of supplies are going up. So we can't legislate away inflation. So our platform was to increase the operating referendum cap. Again, wanting to ask for some local dollars because we can do great things with local dollars if the state can't come up with anything. This has been the 8th legislative session that we've been lobbying for this initiative that we started out talking about in the fall of 2017 for the 2018 legislature. So 2018 through 2025, that's actually 8 sessions. So we have had, there's no bills that have been introduced this year, no sponsors. Only one bill in committee one bill was introduced in 8 years. A year ago, Representative Myers did introduce a bill, but it didn't get out of committee. Increasing the local optional revenue. This is the 12th legislative session that we've been lobbying for this initiative in terms of trying to get an inflationary increase on it. And there's been some traction on that. We actually have $250 per pupil bills in HF 1980, House File 1989 and Senate File 3229. It generated about $3.1 million in revenue for us, greatly needed. But it's an uphill battle because it requires $220 million in new state aid for equalization for all the districts that they're smaller or low property value districts. The total amount of a $250 per pupil increase is over $800 million, but about $580 million of that approximately would come out of local levies across the state, and $220 million would be then paid for by the state in equalization. We also have the platform for an increase in special education cross-subsidy revenue. No bills increased, no sponsors. So unfortunately, help is not on the way in terms of the legislature. We are making about $5 million in budget reductions. Statewide, it's over $300 million in budget reductions. I was testifying on one of the local optional revenue bills, and we were able to get the Association of Metropolitan School Districts, Minnesota Rural Education Association, and the schools advocating for fair funding, which is some suburban or ex-urban districts. And the total of all those was over $300 million in budget reductions that they're looking at. And it's literally the second year in a row that it's been over $300 million, because I testified on a similar bill a year ago, and that was over $300 million. So the sobering thing about that is if you consider, most districts have the great percentage of employees are teachers, as they should be. But if you're looking at then the youngest teachers being laid off, or the beginning teachers, if you assume $75,000 for teacher salary and benefits, that's a potential loss of 4,000 teaching positions for the second year in a row. So it's significant. And again, not all of it will be. There'll be other positions that are eliminated in various places, but that's just it kind of gives you an idea of the magnitude. So Right now, the governor's budget proposals, if enacted, it would actually increase our revenue shortfall for FY26. The governor is proposing to eliminate the literacy incentive aid, which is a pay for performance for us. It'd be a loss of about $987,000 or $687,000 starting right away. There's some proposals out there to modify things and delay it a year. If they modify it to another formula, we'll get this for another year, but the second year of the biennium, we'd get about 20% or about $140,000 under some of the proposals out there, but who knows if that's going to make it again, because they're just trying to grapple with such a big shortfall. The governor's budget proposes reducing special education transportation by 5%, which is approximately $100,000 for us, and that would start right away. Eliminate school library aid. This is something actually added on not that long ago, but it'll be about a loss of about $200,000 starting in FY26. And then there's another proposal in the governor's budget to eliminate alternative teacher compensation program, which is a program that teachers use to basically improve their craft, and they work on various things and achieve certain goals, and then they get some additional compensation related to that. And that's 65% funded by state aid and 35% local levy. So that would not start until fiscal 27 because we've already levied, and so has every other district in the state that's in the alternative teacher compensation program. We've already levied for that portion of it. But it would start in fiscal year 27, and that would be a loss of $3 million. So one of the things that I just have to say is we continue to be efficient. One of the things, the conventional wisdom, it's so hard to convince people that the conventional wisdom that they think is 100% right is 100% wrong. Everybody thinks that Minnetonka spends more money than most other districts in the state because our students are doing well. The reality of it is we spend less per pupil already in the general fund. And we spend less per pupil because we get less revenue per pupil, even with the operating referendum, than basically every district in the state. And what I did is I pulled this Appendix B out of our executive audit summary for the audit from the last year, and it has a table of comparative data for all districts in the state, the 7-county metro area, districts of enrollment greater than 4,000, so the bigger districts, relatively speaking, and then Minnetonka for 22, 23, and 24. And these are the categories that are the general operating fund. And all the categories of the general operating fund, in comparing fiscal year 23, because fiscal year 24 wasn't available, and when they put fiscal year 24 out, we'll be comparing that one. But as the latest data available to compare, all districts for fiscal year 23 spent $14,677, which is $611 more per pupil in their general operating funds than we spent. In terms of the 7-county metro area for fiscal year 23, the average 7-county metro district spent $15,304 in their general operating fund, which was $1,238 more. In districts across the state, so including districts Rochester and Mankato and St. Cloud and Duluth, et cetera, $15,208 per pupil in their general operating fund, or $1,142 more. And Minnetonka, we spent $14,066. So if you look at that, generally school districts spend approximately 100% of their revenue, or their revenue every year. If you expend 101%, you might have a slight deficit. If you spend 99%, you have a slight surplus. But you're always right around 100% of your revenue being expended in a given year. So that's why you can track expenditures and get an idea of what the revenue is, because it's always pretty much, we match to basically try to break even for the most part. And so if we had $611 more and just spent at the average so we could spend at all the districts in the state level, that would have been about $6.9 million more revenue. 7-county metro area, if we had the same amount of money per pupil of the average of the 7-county metro area, we basically would have been able to spend almost $14 million more per pupil. And again, enrollment over 4,000, it would have been about $12.9 million more if we could just spend at the same level as everybody else. So we're swimming really hard in terms of performance of our student. I guess I'd say, we're swimming ahead in the race, even though we're pulling a concrete block along with us, you know. But that's why we're always asking. The state is not able to support us. We're asking them for the ability for us to continue to ask our local people if they would help us out in that regard. Some potential future challenges: summer unemployment for 10-month employees. The state is scrambling to fund for one more year for this coming summer. This is a relatively new initiative, and they funded it for the first 2 summers in 23 and in 24. 25, there's not much money, but it's a potential hit if they can't do it this year. But they think they're going to come up with some funds to fund it, from what I've heard. And the potential, but it's a potential approximately $500,000 hit to the general operating fund starting in FY27, because there's no proposal that I've seen out there, and maybe there's, but I have not been able to identify it, that would allow for additional state aid to pay for that mandate in summer of 26, and that would hit fiscal 27. There's also potential prorations of funding formulas. One thing the state can do is they can say, hey, we're going to fund this, but then if the cash doesn't show up, they can just say, you know what, we only get 98% of the cash, so you get 98% of the cash. So they just shave percentages off the top. In fiscal year 25, this year, our special education revenue has been prorated down about 95%, down to 95% as of the latest statements we have related to that. So that's approximately $1 million less revenue than the funding formula calculates that Minnetonka ISD 276 is entitled to. So that's kind of the general. It's a little bit of a morose report, but it's realistic, and we're having to deal with it. We have to keep pounding away at the legislature, if not this year, then next year, see if we can, break through that concrete wall that's in front of us to try to get at least the permission to ask for some assistance, because whether it's community education or whether it's K-12, we've been able to demonstrate that we can do really great things, even without the full assistance of the state, if they just let us do what we can. And so I guess that's all I have for now. And I don't want to depress you any further, but but anyway, so I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have, or try to.
Thank you. Board members, any questions or comments? Chris?
Just a comment, not the report that we want to get or hear, but one that we need to hear. And thank you for all the work that you do. And I know, as Lieutenant Law said, that all the work that you're doing with our legislature and really trying to advocate for Minnetonka and the case committee and everything. And yeah, it is what it is. And we're going to have to deal with it. And we know we'll deal with it better than anyone. So.
Well, and just one thing, we all know who the Admiral of the Skippers is. There you go.
Sally?
Thank you very much for your continued commitment to this. I'm curious what your perspective is on the increased engagement we had from the community this year. Nearly 100 people beating the drum consistently for much of the year. What is your sense for the impact that that's having on our legislators locally or across the state? What is their awareness of that?
Well, I believe they appreciate and try to listen. The most difficult thing is the financial situation, and with the cupboard being bare. So they're having a hard time trying to address our needs. Although I got to be honest, it's a little bit frustrating from the standpoint of but we are proposing things that would not impact the state at all. But it does make a difference to show up, to email, and all that. Superintendent Law, any comments, because you've been really in there with them?
I think as much as in my career as a superintendent, I'm seeing the bounce backs of messaging at the Capitol saying, we hear you. And, either we can't find a resource or, we're in a legislative session where we overpromised in 2023 and we can't deliver. And so the only path forward is readjusting the 2023 spend and trying to allow people to acknowledge that every, the READ Act that was written in 2023 has been revised twice. So it's okay to go back and revise your ideas and say, okay, what we did then, it wasn't working for the future. We need some of those financial decisions from 2023 to get the same revisions. And I'm optimistic that our parents and some of our messages we've sent to other neighboring districts and their parents have sent, I know they're being heard. So it's just a matter of all of us working together to say, okay, we have to rethink what we did in 2023 for today's reality.
Superintendent Law, go ahead, Dan.
I just want to echo what Chris said and thank you. Thank you for keeping us clear-eyed about the situation that we're facing and just dealing with it head on. Yeah, like you said, it's not news that any of us want to get, but your department, David, all the principals in all the buildings, you've been wrestling with this reality for a while. You've been making very, very hard decisions to do our very best to minimize the impact of these things. So thank you for that. Please keep it up. Please let us know what you need. And, any folks out there listening, if you haven't written to your legislators already, I know I've probably said it dozens and dozens of times at this point, but let them know how much we value public education in this state and that it's the best investment we can make.
Superintendent Law, one thing I wanted to ask, as a watcher of the legislature in Minnesota over the years, I'm a firm believer, although I think Mr. Bourgeois is absolutely right, there's some problems with the structure right now that we are swimming against the tide. But I'm also a big believer that here in Minnesota, it seems like we never really know what we're going to get until the very end of the session. Do you see any paths for our legislative agenda being made part of the state's agenda by the end of the session?
Well, and Mr. Bourgeois referenced it, but I'll say it again. There have been hearings for our local optional revenue. I mean, they have, once they've heard that bill, and that is our best path forward, is giving the board the authority to ask our community for support. We've heard it from our community. If the state's not going to give it to us, allow the board to ask the community. They've had hearings. That's the best we've been in a while, and now it's just a matter of getting it through the omnibus process and moving it forward. The bills that are heard this week were the governor's proposal as a starting point, and both, if you looked at the House and the Senate Finance Education Committee, they both said this is just the starting spot, so we have something to start negotiating with as we get into omnibus. There's a chance. All of us in our own household budgets, if we bought a car that 3 years later our paycheck doesn't match the car payment, you turn the car back in and get something that's going to work for your family. This elected session, they need to go back and say, well, what can we provide within our budget? And certainly our number one spend in education has to be our teachers. We have to, that's where we spend money when it flows through. As you just saw that report, if they want to manage education and have high expectations for our kids in the future, that's where they have to fund. And I think they hear that. They just have to get behind closed doors and make that deal happen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next item is a technology update. Superintendent Law.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, just over a year and a half ago, or under a year and a half ago, our community very generously refunded our capital projects, our technology levy. And one of the things that's very important to tell the community is when you make a donation as a district, we keep our promises. So tonight, Executive Director, it says Interim Executive of Technology for this year, but she is the permanent Executive Director of Technology starting in July. Amanda Fay is here to provide an update on both where we are using those funds and all the amazing things we're doing to keep our district forward-leaning. Ms. Fay.
Good evening, Superintendent Law, or Lieutenant, I guess. Mr. Chair, members of the board. I am here tonight just to provide you a brief, it's not gonna go away, we're just gonna keep bringing it up. I'm here to provide you a brief update on strategic technology planning that my team and I have been a part of, in addition to many other members of our district. Obviously, Mr. Bourgeois has been very pivotal in that, very involved with our teaching and learning department as well. So I'm just going to update you a little bit on this tonight. One of the first things that I want to draw your attention to is just as a technology department, a little bit about our mission. So obviously, first off, as a technology department, our mission is the mission of that of the district, right? These things align. And so we recognize that our goal is to support the technology needs of all of our end users and really focus on student learning and growth, prepping our students to be lifelong learners, and really that we are a service department and our role is to serve. I have been presenting just a brief version of this to all of our buildings, and will be before the end of the school year. And this is really the pivotal piece, is this no summer surprises. I didn't come up with this. I can't recall where I heard it, but it really resonated with me, and just the concept of when our teachers leave for the summer, we want them to come back in the fall and know exactly what they're coming back to. We don't want them to have any surprises at all. And so that's why it's really important to do this long-term technology planning and be strategic about it, is so that we know exactly what's to come, we can budget, we can plan, and we can let our teachers know when their time is coming, why, and really make sure that we're all on the same page. So when we look at this strategic approach to technology planning, this takes kind of a multifaceted approach. One big piece of it is enhancing our technology for teaching and learning, assessing our current systems and what do we have as a district. Gathering feedback from our stakeholders is a huge piece of this and something we really believe as a district, and Jackie Getty will be talking a little bit more about that today too, and implementing key improvements based on what we learned from this. It's also important to note that even though it's not really pictured here as cyclical, this is really a cyclical process, right? It never ends. Just like Superintendent Law said, right? We go back, we revise the READ Act. We make a plan and we're constantly revising it because technology, more than anything, is constantly changing. 1 year ago, actually, April of 2024, myself, Dr. Ledoux, and my predecessor presented to the school board around the Classroom of the Future. So I just want to hearken back to that a second and give a couple of brief reminders, because I think it really feeds into the rest of the presentation today. So giving a little bit of contextual background. We talked about, number one, that instructional technology is a tool, right? There's high tech, there's low tech, but really at the end of the day, the technology is a tool to enhance instruction and student outcomes. We talked about our Minnetonka instructional technology beliefs, which we'll talk a little bit more in a second as well, and just those being pivotal to the work that we do as a district. We talked a little bit about the historical eras of technology that Minnetonka has been through, including the introduction of smartboards, Web 2.0, and one-to-one iPads. We talked about the Classroom of the Future and those priorities, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a second. We talked about our research-driven approach, both from looking at what other districts around us are doing, looking to the research, and talking to our stakeholders. We talk about implementation and pilots, right? We don't just think this is a good idea and then we just do it, right? We try it out on a small scale, lean startup, and then we see how it goes, we get feedback, and then we change or adjust, or we take it to scale. And then also that future vision, being sure that we provide that consistent experience for our students and our teachers throughout the district. So looking a little bit deeper here quickly at our Minnetonka instructional technology beliefs, these were developed with a variety of stakeholders being an integral part to the creation of these beliefs. But really at the end of the day, it's important to recognize that we believe as a district that technology is a powerful catalyst that serves as a core tool to accelerate learning, promote innovative mindsets, and strengthen student success. So, like I said before, technology, it's not static, right? It's always going to continue to evolve, and therefore, our students must be taught and supported to use technology in healthy, balanced, ethical, responsible, and safe ways, which you heard really from our two schools that presented today. They talked about what each one of their buildings was doing with their students, with their community, with their parents to practice this and have honest conversations about technology in the world that we live in and how we set our students up for success and frankly ourselves up for success. As we talked about, a big piece of this is gathering stakeholder feedback. So we've done extensive stakeholder feedback as a part of this process, and we had really high turnout on the teacher survey, and those are the two graphics kind of on the left and in the center you see here. And some of the big themes that resonated with this were the large displays, the importance of having a large display in classrooms, the importance of student digital collaboration, and the importance of classroom mobility. Those were things that really stood out. So all of that feeds into these four priorities as kind of what we took through all of this. We looked at our research, our stakeholder feedback, what other districts were doing, best practice, and we developed these four priorities for our district as we move forward with instructional technology. So these are visible, meaning consistent, reliable, modern, easy to use, bright and clear classroom display technology. Mobility, which means responsive, productive, efficient workflows with the tools to support teachers and students both inside and outside the classroom. Number 3, flexibility, both physically and digitally. The ability to adapt based on individual or collective student or teacher needs. And then 4th, collaboration, really that every student and every teacher are engaged in learning. So as we look to the work that's been implemented so far as we talk about the quote-unquote classroom of the future, the first step that really happened was the high school laptop implementation. Our high school teachers received laptops, and then we removed desktops from the high school and installed Apple TVs in order to allow teachers to wirelessly be able to AirPlay and connect to screens. Then we moved on to middle school laptops and middle school having the ability to AirPlay as well. We also did some work with updating elementary instructional technology guidelines post-COVID, realizing that our students had one-to-one devices for the first time at our youngest grades, and that when they came back into the buildings, we needed to really reevaluate what that looked like. So we took some time to do that. And then we've also been working through some elementary display and AirPlay pilots. So as we look to the future and we think about next steps of this summer is going to be a big summer. We've got a lot of work to do here. So we have kind of developed a comprehensive multi-year roadmap, and part of this is because we're a small but mighty team. We've got a budget, right, and we need to think really strategically about what to bite off when, and we really did that. So with the middle school, knowing that our plan was to remove desktops at the middle school this summer anyways, we really decided to focus in on the middle schools for this summer. And knowing they have their new schedule coming, it's also a great time to kind of lean into that flexibility, mobility, collaboration, and visibility. So this summer we will be removing desktops from our middle school classrooms. We will be updating those smart boards with new bright, clear displays. We'll be sunsetting smart technology at our middle schools. And then we will be doing network and Wi-Fi upgrades district-wide. We will also be doing a new phone system. It's kind of time to bring us into the new the new generation, right, with the new phone system, and also a new help desk system. As we look to next summer, our plan is to update our smart boards with displays at our high school. And then the summer after that, we'll move on to our elementaries. And that's very strategic because our elementaries are in the process of going through curriculum review in all of the core content areas. So the last thing we want to do is say, hey, we're going to take away your smart board in SMART so you can figure out a new curriculum to just then do a new curriculum in a year, right? So we're being very intentional around what buildings, what grade levels we target when. And then after that, as we know, some of our unique spaces can be quite expensive to really retrofit and figure out what the best fit is for technology in those spaces. So to allow us to take an individualized approach, then the next summer we'll focus on those unique spaces. It's also really important to recognize that replacing a display can sound very simple, but it's actually a really in-depth process. We work with a third party to really figure out where do they go, what does this look like, how do we do it well. Every single teacher was given the opportunity to meet with their tech coach and talk about what their room looks like, where the door is, what makes the most sense in terms of where their display is, how they want to structure their classroom. We really wanted to make sure that we did it well and we didn't just do it quickly. So every teacher has had an opportunity to really give feedback into what they would like that classroom to look like, as well as our administrators to really think about strategically what makes sense for their building and the students in their building as well. So really our current initiatives are around system optimization, so thinking about our current technologies and making sure that they are seamless and that they're very user-friendly. Focusing in on cybersecurity, protecting our district data with robust security protocols. Thinking about stakeholder feedback, that's always a really core initiative to us and something that we always do. And then also network modernization and thinking about upgrading our infrastructure to plan for now and for the future. So really our overarching goal is that, we know as a school district and frankly as a society, we have a reliance on digital tools and technology. And so we want to keep our students, our staff, and our Minnetonka community as secure as possible by strengthening our district's cybersecurity, protecting sensitive information, and building resilience against evolving threats. I would love to talk more in depth about what that looks like, but knowing this is an open session, it's recorded, it's streamed, right? We don't really want to talk too much about what we're doing as a district around cybersecurity. So maybe at some point we could talk more in depth when we're not being recorded for the public. I will share this with you though. My team recently talked about how they noticed that staff were leaving devices open or unlocked or their passwords. And they saw from another district, they had created these little Post-it notes that they would then just like stick on that computer like, caught you, right? And so the whole team collaborated to make this Post-it note in Canva. And I just ordered these custom Post-it notes on Vistaprint. So those of you that work in the district, just, stay tuned because they're coming and then we're gonna be all over the place just watching, right? So just another, a way to try to make it fun, but to remind, we so often wanna get up and go out somewhere quickly and then you don't close your laptop or lock it and think about, if there's a student in that room, think about all the information that's on that device. So just a fun way, cybersecurity can be such a heavy topic. And so we're trying to find fun ways to make it something that's front of mind, but not too scary. Then someone said today, what if staff start collecting these and they make it a challenge? And I was like, then we'll have to figure out a different positive way that we can reinforce, right? So really looking ahead to summarize here, we are focused on strategic planning and really developing that long-term plan for what technology looks like in our district and how it relates to our educational vision. Really focusing on educator development, right? It's so important that we provide our teachers and our staff the support and the training that they need to utilize the technology well as it changes every single day. And then evaluating technology. As we see new technology come out, really taking the time to evaluate and say, is this something that we should invest in? Is this something we need to think about and to integrate into our roadmap? So really at the end of the day, this roadmap really leads us to our impact, which is all about our students. And so the work that we do is really important with our technology and our teaching and learning team, collaborating to really build what's best for our students and knowing that it profoundly impacts our student experience. And that's why we do what we do at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Board members, any questions or comments? Chris?
A comment and maybe a couple of quick questions, but as we go into different classrooms or different environments, even in our works, when you go to a projector or something versus a high resolution display, is just, we know that in some of the Classroom of the Future work that you're a part of, that how much more engaging that is. And so really excited that we're continuing that and going through the middle schools. Two questions I was thinking about. You talked about no summer surprises, and with the staff, and we're moving their cheese, right? We're moving from a Windows environment to an Apple environment. We're changing, something that was integrated through SMART. And two things that came to mind is like what type of training, or I saw that you've set up some pilot classrooms and people are, teachers are able to see this, but as they come back for their professional development, are we doing training and are we more just available, or how are we handling that?
Yeah, really great question. So we have technology coaches throughout our district at all of our levels. And so first off, when they come into the Minnetonka environment for the first time, they have that new teacher orientation and they're given time with their coaches to really talk about like what our technology environment looks like as a district. And then they really are given access to like an extremely built out course in Schoology, which is the same learning management system we use for our students, filled with resources to support them, because we recognize that every single teacher coming in has, you know, a different experience in college, and they maybe have taught in different districts. And so we want to really meet them where they're at and support them in any way we can. In addition to that, our tech coaches offer optional professional learning sessions on a regular basis. Oftentimes they're doing them virtually too, so that it doesn't have to be limited by, oh, you have to physically be here. You can be in your classroom, you know, moving your desks and kind of setting up for the day while you're listening in and kind of learning on this session. They also record them, send them out, right? So just kind of these multiple options. And then they're all also available. They have calendar links that you can book time with them. So you can say, this is my prep, I want to learn more about this. We're also very intentional around, our teachers have had iPads for years, so they're familiar with the Windows and the Mac environment, and that really is something that's important. Like, we want to make sure that we're not just a this or a that. We know that in the world you're going to interact in both platforms, and we want to make sure that our students and our teachers are prepared for that. But then giving them the MacBook laptops a year or over a year in advance, so they can start utilizing it as a productivity resource before that's their only resource too.
Thank you. And the second piece, I think maybe it's more for the elementary than maybe the high school or middle school, but you talked about the curriculum piece, and I just don't know how integrated that is into the smart app or smart technology, and have we had to do a lot of curriculum changes or development, or what does that look like? And I know more of the elementary school, they're using the smart devices maybe a little bit in a different way, but.
Yeah, we've been intentionally kind of slowly transitioning away from smart for a while, and it's nothing about smart, you know, like the technology that we have is older, but at the same time it's that proprietary thing. We don't want our teachers to be stuck in, I have my curriculum in this one thing, and this is the only way I can do it. We want them to be able to kind of like move seamlessly through platforms. So when you think of something like, you know, Canva, which MCEC presented their presentation in, or Google Slides, these web-based resources that you can utilize on any platform is the direction that we're really trying to move in. And so just thinking differently about that collaboration. So we kind of started intentionally. Our high school was ready, right? They were ready for that change. We saw them not really utilizing. And so we said, okay, let's kind of intentionally start this transition with high school, moving to middle school. And when I presented at the middle schools just before spring break, one of the things I said to teachers is like, if you still have some things in Smart Notebook, we're not going to like uproot that from you and take that away from you and like, good luck, bye, right? Like, we're going to do whatever we can to help you get where you need to be when you need to be there, right? So really letting teachers know, like, this is our deadline, but really like, it's a loose deadline, right? And so our elementary, we're being really intentional around trying to help learn and support what they need right now. And Steve Urbanski, our Director of Curriculum and Instruction, we've recognized how important it is to have our tech coaches in on when we're doing curriculum writing and when we're developing and assessing new curriculum, because it's important that we are all moving in the same direction together.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Superintendent Law?
I'm going to reiterate two things. For our community members, there's a plan for the next 5 years to spend every dollar that we have generously received on the technology that is focused on students, and we'd be happy to provide that update. And the other part, I'm just really proud of the fact that we've gone to every building to tell teachers, here's what's coming. I've been places where it's been really hard to share a single-year vision, let alone a 4-year vision of here's where we're changing technology and giving people a chance to be ready for that, as Chris referenced, Board Member Vitale. So I want to thank Amanda and her team for amazing work, both preparing our staff for the changes and being very future-driven with this work.
Thank you. We haven't made it to every building yet, just to note. So if someone's watching and they're like, what? You know, but we will before the end of the year. So,
Dan, you had your hand
up. Thank you for the presentation. And I think it always bears mentioning, especially when we've gotten, you know, a very sobering legislative and financial presentation right before this, that that the funds that we're able to use for technology was a separate tech levy approved by our voters back in 2023. We can't use these funds for operations, so it's not like this planning and these efforts and these changes that we're making and that are necessary are taking away from something elsewhere. This is especially dedicated for this, and our operating challenges are an entirely separate issue.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, next item up is a community engagement report, Superintendent Law.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, one of our board goals is to be constantly looking for ways to gather input, and as a board, use that input to steer the direction of the district, because your board aspirations are that our district is a reflection of the community. So tonight, Executive Director of Communications, Dr. Jackie Getty, is going to provide an update for the board and the community on all the different avenues we use to connect with the community and gather input that steers board. Dr. Getty.
Thank you, Superintendent Law, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'm excited to present this community engagement report for you. Community engagement and community input does play a critical role for us. It plays a role in shaping the direction of our schools and district-wide initiatives. And across all of our constituency, we actively seek to inform, because first, we know that that is very important because it lets people know that they're important to us. We provide opportunities for feedback, and we build those connections through a variety of means. And those efforts give our stakeholders ways to share their experiences, their thoughts, and their input about the district, and to have their questions and their concerns answered. So building that trust with students, parents, prospective families, teachers and staff, alumni, and the broader community remains an action item, I know, on one of your school board goals for the district, excellence in leadership and organizational support. So let's talk about the various constituencies and how we connect them and engage them. So the first one I want to talk through is parents, and we know that we have district-wide committees that parents can be a part of. For surveys, and I'll go through these relatively quickly, but we can always circle back to them and stop me along the way if you have any questions. For surveys, we do an annual parent survey every year, and then sometimes throughout the year, we also add another survey. This last year, we did a specific one on school board goals so that you could have some input as you were doing planning for the next year's goals. Listening sessions. I know that you had 3 planned. I think we ended up doing 2, reached out to 160 families, had just a handful of parents come, but there were some really robust conversations with the ones that showed up to the sessions that you offered. And it really gave kind of a new opportunity for parents if they had a question and wanted to sit down and address their concern with a board member. The principals do weekly emails to their families, and the superintendent has been doing a monthly email to parents this year that's been really well received. I know that all of you have formal and informal one-on-one meetings with constituents all the time, and calls and emails, and so do administrators. This last May, so it's been almost a year now, we've had the Ahoy Minnetonka podcast, and that's been another way for us to engage parents. Many of the staff and teachers that are on our podcast are also parents of students in the district. We have an ongoing connection with our PTA and PTO groups. We meet with the leaders every month to 2 months, depending on what month of the year it is, to really hear about what's happening in the schools, how they're supporting their schools, and how we can support them, and how they can support each other to really help them have that connection and that engagement. I wouldn't say new this year, but kind of a new infusion of energy this year has been the Community Action for Student Education Committee. It was active last year. It was incredibly active this year. And I know the school board and the superintendent, administrators, and a lot of our parents have gotten really actively involved in legislative advocacy for student funding, for school funding. And that has been a new way that a lot of parents have gotten engaged with the district. Tonka Pride is, as you know, a parent-led committee that sells spiritware, and that the funds go back to support our PTAs and PTOs. And we work really closely with them and stay engaged with them. Our boosters, different booster organizations, but also our booster store. And then the Minnetonka Public Schools Foundation is another way that parents really stay engaged with the district. I know you heard from them earlier today about the incredible support they give through the teacher grant program. And then Nutrition Services has done a specific, as you heard recently from the report from Kristen Turnblad, effort on their communication efforts and connecting with families and really helping families to make great choices about nutrition and what's ahead and what's in this meal and to help them with that planning. These are just a couple of examples. The Tonka Fresh off to the left, that is the Instagram account that Nutrition Services started. So if you haven't followed that, that's another way that they've really tried to engage. The middle shot is Groveland Elementary PTO showing the opening of their Groveland outdoor classroom space, which they supported heavily. And we heard about at the meetings that we have with them. We're also able to tell that story, and it just helps us to get even more people involved and engaged and educated, informed about what the district's doing. And then wanted to call out the Tonka Pride Committee leaders off to the side who received the Spinnaker Award for their amazing connections to the district. Students are, of course, an incredible group that we consider stakeholders, an important stakeholder group, and you heard an entire presentation from Superintendent Law at the study session about all the ways that we engage, inform, and really involve students in gathering their input so that we can make good decisions. And as a board, you have made incredible strides in this area as well this last year. The listening sessions that you're doing with the cohorts of students at the high school, the listening session that we did with the student forum, the big group, and many of you were, most of you, I think, were at that one recently. We do surveys. The teaching and learning team really leads that effort, and a lot of it is about the student experience, what they're experiencing in schools. And also this year, they are doing a survey on mental health supports through our partnership with the JED Foundation, and that's coming up. The school board reports that you hear, we really try to incorporate student voice in all of those in the school reports. And the recognition, school board recognitions, we really infuse student voice. We love the video submissions where students get to really share their experiences. So on the screen there, you can see the 4 individual shots are different kids that are talking about the service learning that they did, or the activity they were involved in, or the sport that they were really excited about what they accomplished. And then off to this side there, you see one of our students, Jose Buffington, talking at the annual recognitions breakfast where she was honoring a teacher who made a huge impact for her. And then other ways that we've elevated student voice. Most of our feature stories and videos involve students and their experiences, and it's really their authentic voice. We want to hear what they have to say so they can share their experiences that way. The podcast, some of my favorite episodes have had students on them, and really sharing what they've experienced. I sit in the back, you never see me in there, but I'm sitting in the back listening to it, and one of the students was talking about in Vantage, they were creating a lifestyle calculator that you type all these things in and that it helps you decide what kind of a career you should take so that you end up where you want to when you're retiring. I mean, it was incredible. And they were creating that formula that would get you to that. And I thought, whoa. But really exciting. And traditional media, the student voices are the ones that the media wants to hear. Those are the authentic voices. What am I learning in this? We don't script that. They sit down, the reporter fires the questions, and the students tell them what they really think. Student clubs and groups, so students, if they don't see a group that that speaks to them, they can start their own group or club. The students are on the morning show all the time, in particular at the high school. And again, with Nutrition Services, those communication efforts they did this year, that was really targeted to families and to students in particular to say, this is what's coming. You want this for lunch tomorrow. And this is a couple of shots of the student forum that you recently had at MHS. Teachers and staff are a critical constituency group, as you heard from Executive Director Fay, and I don't even have that on this list, but there's so many ways that we really try to get teacher and staff input on decisions for the district. We start, well, it's kind of an all-year thing, but if you want to start at the beginning of the year, with the back-to-school kickoff, that really is for teachers and staff, and so really getting everyone on the same page, having a message that unifies and moves people forward in a motivated way. We survey throughout the year on different topics. This year, the goals was another one that we put in front of them. But one of the ones that was last year, but that was used this year, was the facilities study. So we asked all staff about their experience in their buildings and what did they think needed the most input. And then all of that feedback went to the principals. And when the principals were presenting for the facility study task force, they presented based on what they and their staff thought was needed most in the building. And that was really, I think, helpful to the task force. The principal and superintendent emails are another way that we really try to inform and help our community connect with what's going on and how they can get involved. Principals have staff meetings every week, of course. And then in our videos, our feature stories, our podcasts, we're constantly involving teachers. They, along with their students, are the ones that know what's really happening in the classroom, so they can really share that with us. The listening sessions that we've had with the superintendent, and I know several of you have attended some of them. Some of you have attended many of them that we've been having this spring to talk with teachers and staff about how they're feeling about this year, what they're thinking about for next year, what are some of the messages that resonate with them, and where do we press in and really focus on for next year as we come back. Tonka Insider is a staff e-newsletter, so we help to share what's going on in the district and how people can get involved and engaged and stay informed. Our Appreciation Week features, so you see one up on the screen, and this is one of our kitchen staff members at MHS, Daryl. And the notes on the side that are really tiny and hard to read, the reason we put it up that way is because during Appreciation Weeks, Mary Cornelius on our staff will write up these incredible features after interviewing the staff for those weeks, and we put them out on social, and then all of those comments on the side are former students, their parents, their other staff members, and some of the comments there are like, Daryl is the best, or Daryl is like my favorite smile of the day, and that really made my experience at MHS amazing. So those are another way that we really help our community to work together and to connect. Traditional media, too, of course, the teachers and staff are the ones knowing what's going on in those classrooms, so they're the ones that we connect with the media. Most recently, I can think of like the aviation feature that one of our local TV stations did, and we had Scott Schaefer, our aviation instructor, up there talking about what happens in class and showing that. Superintendent Law and our Executive Director of Finance and Operations, Paul Bourgeois, had meetings at each school site this year to talk about financial challenges and solutions and to provide a way for people to give input, our teachers and staff to give input back, and then they presented that input. And the superintendent and our security coordinator, Scott Gerlicher, did presentations on safety training with our school staff at every school site. And they were at all of those meetings because we knew it was a deeper training than we'd done before. There would be questions, and then they could get that direct conversation, get their concerns or questions answered. This was a couple shots of the back to school kickoff. I know some of you were there. Pretty amazing event, and that was our speaker off to the side, Sam Glenn. He was great. Residents, so this has been a big focus this year. One that was very recent was the community survey that we did as a result of the Facility Study Task Force's findings and wanting to know what the community would support. And you know, that was really helpful information, and certainly something we would do is go out to the community and understand how they're feeling about things. We do mailers, so we do a school news postcard that comes out a few times a year, and then the annual report, of course, comes out in October so that we can really prove up to the community how we're investing the money that they provide to us. What is it that we're doing? How are the students doing? What are the staff doing? And we give them the financial picture in that, of course, too. And on all those publications, we've been adding QR codes so that they can sign up for district communications. We have a way for them to sign up for your school board news. So what comes out of this meeting that we send out tomorrow, that goes to students, staff, and parents, but we also give an opportunity for people in the public to get it as well so that they can stay engaged. We've been doing outreach with neighbors on an ongoing basis. A recent example is there have been parking concerns in the neighborhood by MME with cars parking and idling, and so we've been working with the city to address that, and we've been reaching out to neighbors so that they are apprised of where we're at in that process, and that's been well received. The Facility Study Task Force membership, this is an example, I think, of the outreach and connection. We worked with the Sun Sailor to run a story so that people could apply to be on the committee, and we had several community members that became a part of that committee through that. And we also sent to the Sun Sailor a way for the public to nominate people, school volunteers or teachers that they know for the Celebration of Excellence Awards, and we got quite a few nominations this year. We've had Rotary presentations this year from Principal Jeff Erickson on MHS programming as the School of Opportunities, and our Health Services Director, Annie Lombard-Benson, presented on mental health supports for the district and talked about the JED Foundation program. Superintendent Law has done State of the District presentations at at the Minnetonka Community Center and at 2 senior living centers, and I know a few of you attended those as well, and just really to keep those constituents informed and engaged and get their questions answered. And we did a State of the District presentation for former school board members. Several of you were at that as well. Again, to keep those community members engaged. We do events and often invite the public to them. The Veterans Day programs are one example of that. For alumni, we work really closely with the Alumni Association. My team is really great about supporting them. In particular, Daniel Campbell has been a really good support. He's our creative director, and he also has done the social media for the Alumni Association, has done a lot of their print pieces, outreach to to our alumni through emails, and then also leads our alumni magazine, which is moving online this year, but it still is a lot of work and a great way to showcase what our alumni are doing in the community. We also were big support for the All School All Friends reunion, which took place last July and had about 2,000 attendees. And that was really fun to see that connection back with alumni and all the ways that they can learn about what's happening at the district and become re-engaged. We do the Alumni Awards Brunch, and over the last 2 years, we have filled the Commons at the high school. So about 200 people attending each year, and that's great. That's new. I mean, we before would kind of try to do that, so it's really good to see that kind of new infusion of energy from our alumni. We do feature video stories. We've had alumni on our podcast. I know that the high school brings back in recent alumni to do student panels. I know there was a recent one that Vantage brought back some of our design and marketing students because one of my former Vantage mentees came and told me all about it. She was super excited to be invited back. Lucy. And then we also share alumni traditional news that we see out there. So one of the notes on the screen there is Frankie Torres, who is a recent grad, I think a 2018 grad, is doing amazing things. She's got an incredible voice, and we saw that out there and decided to reshare it, so we do that as well. Oops. And on the left is a photo of the alumni brunch, and on the right are some pictures from the big reunion in Excelsior last year. Close partner organizations, so the foundation, which we've talked about, the Alumni Association, PTAs, PTOs, the Family Collaborative, Tonka Cares, of course, all of our incredible booster clubs, the Diamond Club, the Hockey Association, Tonka United, other boosters, the Booster Store, Tonka Pride. These are all groups that we stay really tight with, that we really try to keep close and communicate with so that they're engaged and we understand what they're doing and how we can support them and how they can best support us. And then prospective families are another really important constituency group for us to engage, whether it's through the website, flyers, postcards, brochures that are put out, to the info sessions the principals put on, to all the tours and calls and emails that they field and that also the enrollment team fields. Principal Erickson does a pizza with the principal for prospective students at the high school every year. We do a lot of organic, which is unpaid content marketing on social media. And then we do some paid, of course, marketing as well, which some of it's boosting those organic posts, and then some's paid search or digital ads, videos, other multimedia, and then we always try to infuse those with connections. Who do you connect with to get your question answered? So timely information, guidance, support, when's the next info session? This is an example of the kindergarten brochure. And then this year, we talked a little bit about the Community Action for Student Education, but it's really had an incredible infusion of energy into it. We have more than 90 parents, administrators, school board members, students, teachers, staff, and community members involved in it this year, advocating for school funding. With emails, calls, letters, one-on-one meetings, attending hearings, and of course that day at the Capitol where we had quite a few people, and we broke into 2 groups and went off and met with all our local legislators. The superintendent's weekly emails to the case committee really guides that group and lets them know what are some action steps that they can take so that their engaged efforts make a difference. And then, of course, we have a website where people can sign up, so we try to connect them that way as well. A couple more ways that we allow people to find their way into the district if they haven't is Let's Talk. It's sort of a catch-all on our website, so if people can't get their question answered or don't know who to go to, we field that and we direct it to the right person. We have an incident bullying reporting tool. It is our effort to try to help students to have a trusted adult that they can connect with in the schools, but we also want this as an option for those who want to report something quickly or report something confidential, and that is a well-used tool. We get about 1,200 emails to it or interactions with it a year. Most of them are actually around enrollment, and then we direct that right to the enrollment team, but we have a number that come in through the bullying reporting tool as well. Story suggestion form, we have that at the bottom of every web page, and we get quite a few of our story ideas that way. Your school board meetings with community comments and citizen input, that's an opportunity really for people to come and engage with you. And then I know, again, you field a lot of emails and calls and informal conversations at a ball game or formal conversations that you set up meetings with, as do the rest of the administration. So, these efforts really reflect the district and board's commitment to ensuring that stakeholders in our school and residential communities have a meaningful voice in decisions that affect them and really have those connections. The district and board will continue to refine and expand opportunities, deepen their partnerships, and work to foster an even stronger culture of community engagement to continue to build relationships with all constituencies. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions, and I'm sure Superintendent Law is as well.
Thank you, Dr. Getty. Board members, any questions or comments? Thank you for everything you're doing to help keep our community engaged. It's obviously a strength, as we saw earlier this evening with the foundation's support and CASE's continued support, and we appreciate all of your help in shepherding that support.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next item on the agenda is authorization of sale of general obligation capital equipment note. Superintendent Law.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, the next three items, I'm going to turn over to Executive Director of Finance and Operations, Mr. Bourgeois. These are the process that we use to generate funds to do the projects that move us forward. So, Mr. Bourgeois.
Thank you, Superintendent Law. Mr. Chair, members of the board. Actually, a long time ago in a school district far, far away, I was responsible for technology, and one of the metaphors I used was trying to buy technology, and particularly in infrastructure, is a lot like being a grizzly at a salmon run alongside a stream with a salmon run. And you look down the river, and there's all these big salmon coming, and everyone's juicier than the next, right? But eventually, you got to grab one and eat. And so, a number of years ago, we pulled a salmon out of the river, right? And we invested in a lot of technology that served us really well for a while. But now it's time to pull another salmon out of the river. So, stronger, more capacity, faster, just major upgrade. So the district is in need of really replacing the core infrastructure of the district, and it's a massive undertaking. We need to replace 163 switches, 774 network access devices, about 57 miles of Ethernet cable with the latest, and approximately 9 miles of fiber optic cable. And we're doing that not only to upgrade to where we are now, but also to where we need to be for a longer period of time. Because, and of course, like building a freeway, it lasts for a while, and then you got to rebuild it. This will happen again in another 10 years or so. So what we're requesting is the authority to issue $2.2 million in what is called capital equipment bonds or notes to basically undertake this rebuilding process. Executive Director Fay and her team will be involved with the vendors who will actually be doing the work and trying to do all that over the summer, actually. But it's a significant dollar amount. Now, this is not a tax increase for local property taxes. It's being funded out of the capital projects technology bond, technology fund. And so we are, it's going to be repaid over 5 years, and the average payments are about $508,000 a year. We are expecting to, hopefully, well, we'll see what happens with everything going on, but the estimated interest rate is about 3.51%, and so about a $500,000 annual payment for 5 years.
All right. May I have a motion to approve the authorizing resolution as prepared by Dorsey and Whitney for the 2025A General Obligation Capital Equipment Notes to fund the technology infrastructure rebuild?
So moved.
Chris, may I have a second?
Second.
Dan. Any discussion? Motion is second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Superintendent Law. Mr. Bourgeois.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, we are asking in this next item for authorization to issue $1.95 million worth of certificates of participation bonds. These will be paid for out of the operating capital revenue. So again, no separate tax increase for this particular item. It's being funded out of an existing revenue stream. And this is what it will take for us to basically reimburse the general fund for the purchase of 18407 Delton Avenue, the cost of buying it, the cost of abating any hazardous waste on the site, demolishing the house, removing the utilities, and then construction of an underground stormwater tank with a parking lot on top. So it's pretty incredible, but that's what it takes to actually get some parking put in place there. It's not just like back in the day in my sandbox at home, I just put the Tonka grader out and make it flat and it was done, right? But this is much more expensive. So we're asking for the authority to issue $1,950,000 of certificate of participation bonds. We're looking at a rate for these. It's a different type of bond, so the interest rate of approximately 4.5%, and we're estimating annual payments of approximately $156,000.
Thank you, Mr. Bourgeois. May I have a motion to approve the authorizing resolution as prepared by Dorsey and Whitney for the 2025B certificates of participation bonds to fund the construction of parking at 18407 Delton Avenue?
So moved.
Sally, we have a second?
Second.
Kim Marie. Any questions, comments, or discussion? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the authorization to issue certificates of participation bonds for the Veterans Field retaining wall. Mr. Bourgeois.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board. This one I've got a short presentation on it, but we have some significant structural issues with the Veterans Field retaining wall. There's been some water damage to it. I've got a few pictures of it, but I think it was Randy Moss who had the saying when he was trying to beat a defensive back on a long pass. It's if we're even, I'm leaving, is what he said. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of with the retaining wall. If you start seeing it kind of, it's supposed to have be step back a little bit, but if it's even, it's leaving probably over the long term. So our retaining wall is having some issues. Veterans Field was originally constructed in 2006, and at that time there was a small block construction with a 3-foot retaining wall, and there was about a 25-foot high slope. It washed out in the heavy rains of 2013. So we replaced it at that time. You can see in this picture there was still grass. It was mainly just a big grass slope. And there's tennis courts there at the time. But in 2014 we had replaced the tennis courts with parking lot. But what we did is we used small block construction. The big block like you see on the front of the high school now or for the plaza at Einar Anderson Stadium really wasn't around. It was maybe just coming to use, but we weren't aware of that at that time. And so we did a small block, but one of the concerns about small block is that it's a 25-foot high wall that would need to be built. And so I was concerned about that height for that small of a block. So we did 2 tiers so that we wouldn't have one large wall, we'd have 2. And it created a narrow viewing area along the plaza off of that sloped area. So it was a nice improvement, and it was a thing where we made lemonade out of a lemon, so to speak. Well, we have some retaining wall slippage and settling and sinking. We noticed some minor, just in inspecting things and looking at things, I know some minor settling late in fall of 24, and I noted to check again in spring to see if it was minor and stable or if more issue developed. On March 3rd, I went back out there, and there's some significant problems. There's numerous areas of heavy sinking. The plaza area on top is actually sinking now. There's some water infiltration coming from, I think it's because of a lot of it might also be because of the way the parking lot curbing is set up, because it actually slopes down a little bit. And if you can envision the way like a rock in a rapids allows water to kind of like go over the top. We have this surmountable curb, and I think in heavy rains the water it almost have to, I'm just surmising this, but it has to have enough speed that it actually rides up and over the surmountable curb, which is kind of a ramp curb for snow plowing, and then goes over, and I think that's probably what's contributing to this after 10 years. So there's also pressure on the wall in several locations, so we really need to replace it, and what we need to do is replace it with some large block construction like we have at Einer Anderson Plaza and the front retaining wall. We actually have the south end of it blocked off. But this is a picture, you can see, actually, you see those gaps on the angle there? It's been pushed out, there's been some water infiltration, and it's actually like popping out and pushing out. Also, I think this winter was a little bit hard on it. There was not a lot of snow cover, and there's a lot of drainage, and it's just tough. That's just a little bit different angle, so you can kind of see where it's at there. Okay, if you have to look a little bit closely on this one, but actually when you're out there, and it's a little more evident, the photo doesn't do it justice, but it should be just kind of a stepped angle there. But if you really look closely at it, I added a straight line, you can kind of see how the angle is at the bottom, it's angling up, but then it kind of bows out a little bit, just a little bit, and then it angles up again. We're getting that. Here you can kind of see about midway down, there's a pretty significant bow in the wall. And then here, this actually, again, it's actually sinking and settling. This is on the very south end where it's going down. This area kind of looks a little bit like a Dr. Seuss house. It really is kind of off kilter from the way it was originally constructed. That's just another angle that. Also, the stairs at this area are washed out underneath, and they're going to have to be replaced. A lot of the blocks on the top of the wall were washed out from water coming down. And this is the area looking at, and if you actually, it's a little hard because it doesn't give you 3D, it's 2D, right? But this is sunk probably almost a foot, all this concrete work in the center. And this is a view of this, but if you walk on this section, this is a section we have blocked off, a person literally could twist their ankle and break it. It's very steep when you walk on it. So just from another angle, but it's down probably, that center section is down about at least a foot, it should be level. So this is another area where you can see, again, a swale that's developed where it's just, there's a lot of issues with it. So we really need to replace it soon. We have it taken out of commission from the south end where the settling and things are the worst. But it'll cost probably an estimated $1.3 million to replace this. The way we would take care of that, though, is finance it with a small COP bond paid with payments, same thing out of operating capital. So again, no additional property tax levy, but it really needs to be done. So that's the main focus of this particular bond resolution. And in the process of looking at this, we talked about, actually, next two slides are just kind of pictures of, we'll be utilizing this type of really heavy, large block, and it's actually anchored 15 to 20 feet back into the side of the dirt underneath it. That's Veterans Field Plaza. Like compared to, this is just to show that we have a situation there where we had to build to a point, and it's just a whole different level of construction compared to what you saw at Einer Anderson Stadium. At Veterans Field. And this is the front retaining wall. Just again, a couple of much more sturdier, heavy-duty construction with modern, the latest materials. So that's the type of setup that we would have at Stadium. Now, the thing, as part of this, we don't have to do this, but there is an opportunity to make lemonade out of lemon because the reconfigured plaza with the large block wall will actually be twice as wide. So that actually gives enough room to accommodate a permanent restroom structure. And I've heard it from day one, people they're not satisfied with the Veterans Field experience in terms of having to use portable restrooms. And there's a preference for a permanent facility. The Minnetonka Diamond Club is actually willing to donate funds, 100% of the funds, to construct a restroom concession facility on the expanded plaza if we do this. And so the retaining wall replacement has to happen with or without that. So that would be a separate discussion, and I'd like to bring forward at a future meeting just the idea of, okay, what would this look like and how would this work? But we have talked with them. The estimated cost of doing that, of building that on top of the plaza, would be about $900,000 to $1 million. It would be an amendment to the current operating agreement. The Diamond Club's been a very reliable partner. They paid off $4 million in building Veterans Field and Legacy Fields. So they're able to give a $500,000 donation this August, and then $150,000 every August after that until it's paid for, or up to $1 million. Again, that's a separate discussion for the future, but I just wanted to give you a heads up on that. And a retaining wall replacement, though, is something we really need to do. So that's just a little bit more about a potential restroom facility. It would end up being the same footprint really as what's under the Einar Anderson Stadium and softball field restroom building. A couple of sets of restrooms, but instead of a big lobby, they would have a larger concession stand compared to the kind of telephone booth size concession stand they have right now. And that's kind of what it would end up looking like, just conceptually. There's a conceptual idea of that. But that will take, again, more discussion. That's a layout, a potential layout. But anyway, regardless of how things would work, the current plaza is fenced off to keep pedestrians off. So we're asking you to authorize the COP bond sale. We'll just, if you do this, then we'll actually design the wall, just not, past the point of just drawings, and actually work on getting it approved. If we would do the Diamond Club aspect of things, that would be worked out over the next couple of months. But we have to get approval from the city of Minnetonka and the Watershed Creek, Minnetonka Watershed Creek District, plan review and approval, and then open bids probably in October. So we would be building this in September through December, probably on the retaining wall. And if we actually, it'd probably take a little longer if we end up doing the restroom and concession facility on top of that. But no matter what, retaining wall only or retaining wall and then this other feature, it'd be open for use a year from now. So that's just kind of an overall view. But again, right now the main focus is we do have to replace the retaining wall, and that's what this this request for bonding is for, to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Bourgeois. All right, board members, may we have a motion to approve the authorizing resolution as prepared by District Bond Counsel Dorsey and Whitney?
So moved.
Chris, may I have a second?
Second.
Mike, any questions, comments, or discussion? Thank you very much for all of your work on these items, Mr. Bourgeois. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Motion passes. Thank you very much. All right. May I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
Dan, may I have a second?
Second.
Camry. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is board reports. Any board reports? Going once, going twice. Superintendent's report.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, just very briefly, some of you have joined me. I've been on a series of classes you didn't know we teach. And each week I go to the high school, they've all been at the high school, and visit classes that the general public might not know we teach. We get a chance to interact with the class, and then we put it out on Instagram so people can see it. They've covered everything from unified theater to metal, welding in the arts, a very, very high-level math class. Today I was at drone pilots, and I sat down and two young ladies walked me through the entire syllabus from the aviation, the history of aviation, aerodynamics, weather patterns, weather data, our business model for using drones to make money, and it ends with the $75 fee to earn a drone pilot's license that you can get when you're 16. For those people that say school hasn't changed in 50 years, I have to tell you, I've got 6 classroom visits that would beg to differ. So I'm just really proud of the work that happens in our district and the variety of opportunities we have for our kids. Thank you to staff that do that work.
Thank you, Superintendent Law. Any announcements? All right. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Chris, second.
Second.
Mike, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. We are adjourned.